The F-15A is a plane whose stardom was relatively short-lived in War Thunder top tier, very quickly succeeded by the F-15C. And not only just the F-15C, but AMRAAMs in general, with AMRAAMs coming to the game being equipped on planes like the F-16C, yet another plane in the US tech tree that kind of just moves the F-15A out of the way. But make no mistake, this plane is still extremely lethal for battle rating 13.0, and that is the big caveat there for battle rating 13.0. The problem with 13.0 is that, well, in my experience anyways, the matchmaker isn't always very favorable to you. In fact, it can be quite mean, with a lot of up tiers into 13.7 and just AMRAAM lobbies in general. That being said, when I was getting the footage for the F-15A for this video, I did get some pretty good matches. Not many up tiers at all, a lot of 13.0, 13.3 matches, so maybe there's something to be said about specifically what plane you're playing and what matchmaker you're gonna get. We will really quickly run through the strengths and the weaknesses of this plane, and the weaknesses are very short listed. Relative to its own battle rating anyways, the kit is not too bad at all. You get 4 AIM-7s, 4 AIM-9Ms. The AIM-9M, fantastic IR missile. This type of IRCCM is extremely effective. If you can get AIM-9M shots off and you can play with a play style that enables you to get AIM-9M shots off, honestly, it's probably going to be your highest probability of kill weapon on this entire plane. That said, the AIM-7 Sparrow is, well, it's not the greatest radar missile in the game by any means, but the multipathing change at 60 meters makes this thing a lot more effective than it used to be, and as long as you get your shots off first with the AIM-7, considerably first, again, something like Su-27s or R-27ER carrying planes, then it'll work just fine. That being said, again, it's not the greatest in the game. An experienced top tier player knows how to simply outroll the AIM-7, which can be a little bit frustrating, and when you're going up against things like F-14s at your same battle rating or close to your same battle rating relatively frequently, having that AIM-54 launched at you from 50 kilometers away is pretty irritating, and it is going to deny your ability to use the AIM-7's early game. And so this goes back to my previous point about the AIM-9M. Whenever you're in a game with active radar homing missiles, whether it be AMRAAMs or Phoenixes, your ability to actually deploy AIM-7s early on is going to be extremely limited, extremely rare, and so really you probably should just be using your AIM-9Ms as your primary weapon. Play as if you're trying to get AIM-9M launches off at the enemy team and position yourself accordingly, defend yourself accordingly, and of course, yes, if AIM-7 shots present themselves along the way, or it'd be the better weapon to deploy in any given scenario, then absolutely. I'm just saying that you probably should not be playing the F-15 as a BVR style radar missile slinging plane right now. It's just not really going to work out considering the F-14 spam, considering your up tiers are pretty frequently, and there's just nothing you can do to compete with active radar missiles. They're just going to notch your Sparrow. Their active radar missile is not going to care what you're doing, and you're not going to be able to guide your missile in anyways. So I think I want that to be the biggest takeaway from this video. In my opinion, that's the optimal playstyle for the F-15A right now. Use it as a more of a close-in fighter with these AIM-9Ms, still good range for an IR missile, and then of course, if AIM-7 shots present itself along the way, definitely take advantage of them. And with the AIM-7, that's pretty much where the weaknesses stop, if you even want to call that a weakness. This plane's flight performance is absolutely exceptional. It's pretty much the best at 13.0. The only planes in the entire game that are going to be beating this thing in any kind of 1 versus 1 dogfight is the F-16A Block 10 and Block 15, the J-10A, and the Gripen, and the list stops there. The F-15A is a superb 1 versus 1 plane. You don't have all that extra weight of the C and the E models. You're not a bus when it comes to the duels, so don't be afraid to challenge somebody to any type of dogfight with this plane. And before anyone starts typing away with their comments, actually, I beat F-15As all of the time in my Mirage 2000. The Mirage 2000 is way better. Just know that anytime you just beat some random aerialistic battle player and some kind of 1 versus 1 dogfight is not very indicative of which plane is actually better, but rather the incompetence of your opponent. Aside from the fantastic flight performance both as an aerialistic battle plane and as a 1 versus 1 dogfighter, it's got fantastic avionics. Your RWR is just what you'd expect to see at top tier. Your radar, while lacking TWS, you don't really need TWS. If you're a sim player, you might really want it just for information and not quite quite as easily give away your position, but as far as just guiding in your sparrows and stuff, this radar works just fine. And of course, on top of that, you have plenty of countermeasures. You're never really going to run out of flares, you're not going to run out of chaff. You don't need as much chaff at this battle rating as you would at something like 13.7, so don't be afraid to fill up on flares to deal with all of that IRCCM. And that's pretty much all there is to say about the F-15A. My biggest caution, again, would be to not try to engage active radar homing missiles, whether it be AMRAAMs, R-77s, AIM-54s. It's not worth it. They're going to just simply notch and defend against your sparrows, and you're going to have to continue flying toward that missile if you want to guide your sparrow. So you're better off just staying lower to the ground or staying to the side of the map. Come in for close range IR shots, and anytime you get a chance to shoot a sparrow and head on or something, or somebody that just doesn't see you coming, absolutely take it. F-15A, fantastic flight performance, one of the best in the game. All Yukini countermeasures, great avionics. Absolutely no problem with this plane. The biggest problem, of course, being its matchmaker. 13.0, not exactly the most friendly at times in my experience, but my playthrough with the F-15A was just fine. I don't know if that was a fluke. I don't know if that's how it is for the F-15A specifically. Let me know in the comments down below. Just a quick refresher on the F-15A because somebody asked. I'm going to leave the gameplay up here for those interested in watching it till the end, but those are just my overall thoughts on the plane at this time. I'll see you guys later real soon with probably the Su-27.